Who are you rooting for? Who you got? 833-804-0910. Joining us right now on the Hadid Mercer Rug Cleaning Hotline, it's our buddy Marcus Mook Washington. What's going on, bud?
Hey, man, how you doing? This is always the perfect Monday, the national championship, and we can all get excited about the Masters later this week.
Absolutely, and Mook, you know I'm a mid-major guy, and I've been disappointed with the lack of Cinderella stories in this year's tournament, and yet it always delivers because these are amateurs, because they're not pros, and because of that they make mistakes. And we saw the mistake made by Caden Boozer that led to the excitement in the UConn game. And so as much as I'm upset about the lack of Cinderella stories, the tournament always delivers, and tonight should be a classic.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And, yeah, I know there has been some disappointment, but I always say this tournament always has great stories. And what makes it unique is the great stories don't always happen on the final weekend. A lot of times those great stories happen leading up to the final weekend, and that I do think it delivered. And when you really think about it, you're an A-10 guy. You know, how can you not be excited about VCU next year? How can you not be excited about St. Louis next year? So, and even Miami of Ohio or whomever else pops up in that conference, I do think it delivers in that sense. It's just as we go into tonight, we're expecting a very good one with a couple of really, really good coaches.
Yeah, I mean, who do you give the advantage to when it comes to the coaches? I mean, Hurley, 3 of the 4 last championship games he's played in, won 2 of them. We'll see if he can win his 3rd tonight. But Dusty May on the other side, like, he has just had this historic rise from FAU to Michigan, and they play incredible basketball.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. From a coaching perspective, I guess, being a former coach myself, I love what Hurley does, right? Because he is manufacturing so many opportunities in a 5-man offense with his pin downs, his twirls, his twists, a lot of screen-to-screener and re-screening action, a lot of free-flow options within that, and those guys pick it up so well that it almost looks like a symphony when they're out there on the offense. So I think that he has more ways to win a game or to keep a game close. But Dusty May, man, he took guys that had not been there. He brings them in there. He gets a system. He coaches them up in the system. You're going to see a lot of Spanish action tonight and all those type of things that maximizes everyone's strength. So both of those guys are doing well with what they have. Yes, I know Hurley has a more of a championship pedigree track record, but Dusty, what he's done with this team in an era that's so transitional, I mean, he deserves all the credit in the world.
Yeah, I think if Axel Lendenborg's at full strength, I'm picking Michigan. I don't expect him to be close to full strength. In fact, I was kind of shocked he even came back into the game. What is your read on his injury and how much he could play tonight?
I don't think he can play hardly any at all, and if he does, it's going to be about at 60%. When you think about it, even when he came back the other night, it was obvious that he was not only limping, but he was playing straight up and down, which is usually a telltale sign, especially if you're on the sideline, a telltale sign and someone is not 100%. And he was standing straight up and down. Amazing that he made the 2 3-pointers when he did that. But he won't be close, and I do think that gives UConn a chance tonight, just simply because defensively you have to be locked in on 100% of their half-court sets because of what they do. And they are that Floyd Mayweather, just landing these one punches to the stomach early on in the fight that you think isn't doing anything. But then in those late mid-rounds and the late rounds, you find yourself tired, which is what happened with Illinois. That can happen to Michigan tonight. Just keep running your sets. You know there's so much pressure because of all the counters that's in those sets that you're always having to concentrate. That takes energy. So if Michigan isn't 100% locked in, if Yaks isn't 100% healthy, that gives UConn that slight opening to pull the upset despite what the line is tonight.
Mook, we were talking about the transfer portal and how crazy this era is of college basketball. I mean, I guess we should get used to this kind of a storyline where Terrace Reed Jr. is going to go up against some of his former teammates as he started his career at Michigan.
Yeah, you know, I think the transfer portal I know it's going to sound crazy. I do think it's going to end up settling itself in a couple of years, because what's going to end up happening is that as players get better representation, and this is some of the things that we don't talk about enough. A lot of players have faulty representation because it's an old AAU coach, it's a family friend, blah, 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 that really don't know what they're doing. I do think as this gets more towards the better players and even the midway players getting better representation, you're going to see a lot more players stay, because that representation is going to gauge the market and say, hey, look, this is what we can get you in terms of dollars, but this is also what we can get you in terms of opportunity and playing time. And as I've been around this industry for over 20 years, people don't realize how much of a carrot playing time is. I think everyone thinks now that players just go to the highest bidder, but it's a combination of the two, because no matter how much money you're getting paid, those players don't want to sit. So I think as representation gets better, what I think you'll see is the transfer portal being used less.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I think that's a great point. And you know, in my talks personally with Lazar Djokovic at VCU, the reason he transferred was lack of playing time, right? He came over from Europe. Xavier promised him a starting spot. He didn't get it. College of Charleston promised him a lot of minutes. He didn't get it. He got that at VCU. I think it's a big part of why he stayed. Mook, while you're with us here, tell my audience a little bit about D3 basketball in the state of Virginia and Mary Washington winning the championship.
Division III basketball, I say this with pride. Virginia is the best state for Division III basketball in America. And part of it is, and you know this, the high school ranks in the DMV area is so terrific. Not everyone, though, is a Division I player. And a lot of these young men get overshadowed because of it, because you're living in the shadow of the Jordan Scotts and the Ant Browns and all these big Baba and all these big names. But they are really, really, really good. Well, because Virginia has a lack of Division IIs, when these young men have D2 talent, but they can go to school 2.5 hours from their house, a lot of them choose Marymount, Mary Washington, Roanoke College, Randolph-Macon, Christopher Newport, Virginia Wesleyan, and you end up with these line of guys who you're saying, how in the world are they in Division III? These guys can absolutely positively play, and that is kudos to, by the way, both the public and private school coaches and how good our AAU programs are in this area, that these young men understand, hey, look, maybe I'm 6'3" and not 6'6", so I'm not going to go to a D1, but I'm going to get to this D3. I am going to embrace it wholeheartedly, and we're going to make this ride to a national championship. And I think it's 3 of the last 5 years there's been a team from Virginia to win it. There's constantly teams in the Final Four that are from the state of Virginia, and you know, with Mary Washington, 5 of those guys were from Prince William County alone. We're not even talking about Alexandria City. We're not talking about Benedictine. We're not even talking about those young 5 from Prince William County alone. So the basketball is so good in this area, and I really do kudos to the parents, kudos to the players to understand that Division III is the level for them, even though they might be a D2 guy, and we're going to embrace it, and we're going to treat this as if I am playing on the final Monday night of the college basketball Division I tournament. So, no, I'm so proud as a Virginian to see what these D3s have done. And a lot of those kids, frankly, and you probably know this, I've either coached them or coached against them. So I'm certainly proud of them, too.
Yeah, and it was an incredible way to win it, too, right? How crazy was that ending?
Yes. Yeah, and you know, after the young man did make a couple of gaffes there, he goes behind the screen on their best three-point shooter, who ends up hitting the three, but staying in the moment, staying in the mind. They had no timeouts left. And this goes to coaching, because everyone practices scenarios. And so they knew what to do, how to do it. They got in their best players' hands, Kai Robinson, and on the game winner, it was weak side rebound. Reminds you of when Michigan won in '89 with Sean Higgins on the stick back on the game winner there. But He's in the right place at the right time, not sulking over missing an assignment, gets the stick back and the win. So a terrific ending to yesterday's game.
Yep, absolutely. Great stuff, man. Really appreciate you joining us today.
All right, thank you very much, my man.
Yep, that's my buddy Mook, Marcus Washington, MTC with Mook. You're listening to Awadd Radio on the Fan.